Hello everyone, today finished object video, and at the same time I'm publishing my new pattern, and first time ever a sweater pattern. As you can see, I finished two sweaters, but first things first, I'm going to tell you things about the pattern per se that as a knitter you would be probably interested. So construction, yarn, materials, so on, and then maybe more of the story. So everything is down below in the links, and because I'm publishing this pattern now, hopefully you're watching it now, there will be a discount code 20% for limited period of time. So thank you so much for supporting me when you're watching straight away my videos. This is something extra for you. However, if you're a member of this channel, so you press that join button, which you can see on the computer, depends on the level, there are an annual discount code for my patterns on RAVELRY. Anyway, link down below too. My idea was to knit a top-down oversized reglan sweater, and I wanted to include many sizes. The gauge over here is 20 stitches by 28 rounds in 4" 10 centimeters. And to knit this sweater you will need two sets of needles, larger and smaller. The gauge was knitted on the large needles, and in my situation it was US size 6, which is 4mm. The smaller needles I use for ribbing, for cuffs and the bottom. I use US size 4, which is 3.5mm. So the neckline I knitted in larger needles because I knew that I'm going to have it very high neckline to present all the bubbles and all the texture pattern over here on my chest, because I'm not a jewellery person. In regards to sizes, I haven't had opportunity to have so many test knitters, so I had few. I would say and recommend you to go on RAVELRY page and press the projects tab. You will see more people knitting this pattern. And if I'm on tutorials, before I say it about sizes, there are a few links to my tutorials. You have a link to the cast on tutorial, how to fold tutorial, type of increases that I did for the reglan, but obviously, you know, you can change it. That's not really written down in stone, but the way I kind of like the finish, that's what I picked. Then we have, as I mentioned, tubular bind off tutorial, Barbara's bobble tutorial. That's another thing people might be afraid of. If you ever knitted a standard bobble, it will tell you to increase number of stitches in the one stitch, turn your work maybe too few rows, moving your work on the wrong and right side all the time until there is certain decrease, and then you continue with knitting. I'm not a fan of moving, especially a sweater, therefore I kind of design a new bubble. I call it Barbara's bubble, so check it out. There's no need to turn your work. In case you forget the bubble, I don't have that included in the pattern, but on the screen now you can check it out. That's my sock pattern actually. When I included a bubble, and I'm showing you in case you're missing a bubble. I'm hoping to make a tutorial in case you make the bubble that it shouldn't be there and how to make it disappear. So finger crossed, motivate me down below that you do need in your life. So this is a top-down, oversized reglan sweater. We start knitting up from the collar. We have a tutorial fold the cast on. We have a tutorial how to fold if you want to follow that. And then I always recommend you to put the stitches on the larger circular needles to try it on if you're knitting for yourself, because like I said, I like it very high, although there is a short row, German short row involved over here, but as you can see it's still quite very high. And from that moment we will be marking certain areas. We'll be marking for the sleeve, the front, another sleeve, and then the back of the sweater, which does not have a check texture. It's just a stockinette stitch. I thought it would be nice breeze when you're knitting it around. The sleeves are straight sleeves. The nice element for the sleeve when you get to it, it will be that the bubbles are decreasing, not the stitches, the bubbles. So basically, instead of a bubble, then you will be just knitting a stitch, which kind of have a feeling that you're speeding up your knitting, but it gives really nice finish for the sleeves. And as you can see, we're playing a little bit with the shaping at the end. We're decreasing and putting into the ribbing with the tubular bind off. However, so I would do that, and then I would move to the body section once you finish your sleeves, so you know you will have enough yarn. Because it is a little bit, I wouldn't say it's crop sweater. In my situation, it lines up between my waistline and my hips line. Okay, and then once you finish the body, there is German short rows over here in the bottom, and then there's information about how to do, we're doing a braid, but in this time, not only in the front, we're going fully around, and then we're finishing with the ribbing. And I really, really recommend you to do tubular bind off because it's such a cutie one. Sizes. Like I said, I was going towards knitting a loose fitted garment because what I've noticed knitting mini sweaters for myself, I know that I feel way better in that kind of aesthetic, that it's not too loose, but it's not too tight. Therefore, in the pattern, I'm going to leave 10 sizes because that's how I graded the pattern. You have kind of 2 batches, you have sizes from 1 till 3, and then from sizes from 4 till 10 you have kind of different informations of that. Therefore, I'm letting you know what kind of pages you would need to print. Depends on the size you're knitting, so definitely check page first left bottom corner just to be sure. So you don't have to print everything. If you have knitted my patterns, you know that I like tick boxes, so everything is written down for you. I would suggest, in case you will be knitting down and you notice that the distance between the collar and the armpit is a little bit too short for you, but like I said, the pattern was written for kind of have it oversized, so it shouldn't. But in case you change your mind and you pick something else, try to go to the next size of the pattern to reach that, to maintain the proper texture pattern order. As you can see, we have some bubbles, we have a braid over here, slip stitch element going through it over the braid, so definitely read abbreviations to check it out. Again, if you need a tutorial for this in your life, let me know. In abbreviation, I'm writing down the easiest way, so you will put a stitch on hold, but when I was knitting, there was a way of doing it without it. Although I did not write it down in the pattern per se because it would probably take half of the page. So let me know. And I will make that. I'll just need an extra motivation because it's so hard if you're on your own. So on the screen, I'm going to put your information in regards the sizes for the finished garment. So if you're knitting a sweater for the first time, I would suggest you to maybe grab the one that you really like. Could be even one from the shop. Measure it flat. Obviously there are circumference of some stuff, so you will need to multiply it, but other than that, I think it may help you to find the one with a better fit. Straight away, because my biggest sizes hasn't been knitted, I hope that I have enough yardage for the bigger sizes. So definitely, if you've knitted a sweater for you before and you knitted oversized sweater for you, you may have an idea how much yarn you would need for your sweater, taking into consideration that we have some bubbles over here. Okay, let's talk about yarn. I use 100% wool, and the wool that I used is Iona Wool. For the red one is postbox color, and this one is a green teal. They also have a blue teal. I have some leftovers. They'll sell yarn in the hanks, so we would say skeins, or in the cones. And I got the red one in a cone from a friend, which I got, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. That's why I call it Wishes and Dreams. And I love this yarn because I've knitted a few things already with it. You can see on the screen I use kind of mustard color. I forgot the name for it, but check the video. It is my pattern, Strong Infusion Hat, or I've knitted already a sweater with actually a green teal on the screen over here. And that way I knew what kind of gauge I'm getting, what kind of needles I would need to use. Although you know yourself, after a year your gauge may change, or if you're speeding your knitting, that may happen too. Therefore, check yourself when you're knitting sweaters in each sections, just to be sure. Therefore, I think it is quite a beginner friendly pattern, although I know I'm using over here a few texture stitches that you might find a little bit challenging, but like I said, there are links to those things. But don't be afraid, I'm here So in case you have any questions, drop me an email. Just be aware this is a page for patterns, so please don't share too much. I started to join button the membership YouTube one, so check it out. I'm going to leave a link up here where you have access to perks and extra footage. Also, as I said, annual discount code to my patterns on RAVELRY and some giveaways. I'm knitting things and you may win them. So I hope you enjoyed this one. See you next one. Don't forget to subscribe, like, say hello, and bye.